Okay, this is going to cover order of operations. And so we'll start with 13, and this here is a mnemonic device to remember the order in which we always work a problem. Problem 13. Now this mnemonic comes from this, and this is the official order of operations. You start with parentheses and other grouping symbols, step 1, and then you move left to right after you've solved that. And you simplify all exponents and square roots, and then you move left to right and solve multiplication and division, and then you move left to right and solve adding and subtraction. And I will show you how that works. So for this problem, we begin by looking at, are there any parentheses? No, so we go to the next step. Are there exponents, square root? Yes, so we solve that first. What we have is that to solve first. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. 8 squared, remember, exponents, you multiply the number however many times the exponent is. So 8 times 8. So that's solved, and we're working on, that was our first line. We always begin with the first line. This starts to build our second horizontal line, and we bring down the rest of the problem, and you're going to see me do this a lot, which is minus 10. So we bring down that. We haven't solved anything more. Now we're going to look at our second line across. There's only adding and subtracting left, so of course we complete the problem by subtracting 64 minus 10, which is the answer to number 13 is 54. Problem 14. And we're going to write out our first line. Then we look horizontally across, left to right, and we decide what we do first. And of course we look at parentheses and brackets. There are none here, so we go to the next. Are there exponents and square roots? Yes, there's an exponent. So we have to solve the exponent first. 3 times 3, so our answer to that is 9. Now we're starting to build our second line horizontally, this way. So we bring down the other pieces of the problem. We're not solving, we're just bringing them down to keep a catalog. So 2, bring down the multiplication sign, bring down the division sign, bring down the 2. So now we have our next line to look across and make our decisions. Are there parentheses and brackets? No. Are there exponents, square roots? Left to right? No. Are there multiplication, division? Yes. Left to right. So you solve this first. That's on the left. 2 times 9, which is 18, which begins our third line horizontally across. We bring down the rest of the problem. Alright, so we have this part we solved. We brought this down, and we have our look horizontally across. 18 divided by 2. When it's set up like this, remember, this is the dividend. That means it's underneath the symbol, and this is a divisor. Okay, so 2 into 18 is 9. So our answer to number 14 is 9. So now we're working on problem 15. That's our first horizontal line. We work always left to right, and we have parentheses and brackets. There are none. Then we look for exponents and square roots. Yes, there is a square root, so we solve that first. We have the square root of 9 is 3. Remember, because 3 times 3 equals 9. Because when you're at the square root asks you what times itself equals 9. So you say, oh, 3 times 3 equals 9. So 3 is the square root of 9. We take the rest of this and bring it down. This is not solving. We are just bringing it down to the next line. Line 2. That's the next horizontal line. So we're looking left to right. Are there parentheses, brackets? No. Is there exponents, square roots? No. Is there multiplication, division? Yes. So that means we do that first before the addition, which is always last. 2 times 3 is 6. And you bring the rest of your problem down. 3 plus. That builds line number 3 across here. Boom, boom, boom. And you have an answer of 9, because there's only one thing left to do, and that's add 3 plus 6. So the answer to number 15 is 9. Number 16. So we look at our line across and we follow the rules. Are there parentheses and brackets? No. Are there exponents and square roots? Yes. So we do those first. We work left to right, so we can do that one. And we'll do this one. We'll bring that down, we'll bring that down. And that starts to form our second horizontal line. So the answer, square root of 16, is 4, because 4 times 4 equals 16. Okay? Now we're going to solve this. Square root of 9 is 3, because 3 times 3 equals 9. Remember, the square root asks you, what number times itself equals 9? What number times itself equals 16? So these are the answers. Now we're going to bring down the rest of this problem, that section, and these two functions plus the number. I'm just bringing down each of these parts that are left over. It's a 6, and there's the multiplication. So then you're looking at the next horizontal line across. So then you do your order of operations. Are there parentheses? No. Are there exponents, square root? No. Is there multiplication, division? Yes. So you start left to right, and in this case you can just do those, which would be 24, and that is 18, because 6 times 4 is 24, 6 times 3 is 18. But you're not done. You need to make it look like a complete horizontal line across, so you have to remember, and this is often a step people will forget, to bring down that sign in the middle so that you know what to do last. So then your last step becomes 24 minus 18. 6 is the answer to number 16. Number 17. So we begin, and if you've just joined on, it's because you're looking at how to solve problem 17. You'll see how this works. This is a little mnemonic device to remember the order of operations. PEMDAS, and we always work left to right. So you begin by writing the problem out, and that's your first horizontal line. So we're going to look here at our order of operations, and you start with parentheses and you go across. Do I have parentheses? Yes, I do. So you begin with the parentheses. 11 minus 5 is 6. So you've solved that little step there. You still have a lot more to go, but what you want to do is bring the rest of the problem down as is. Do not solve any other parts yet. So you're creating a second horizontal line. So let's look at that. When you do that, you bring down the division sign and keep your dots so that doesn't turn into a subtraction sign as you start pulling it down. So you've brought it all down, so you've created a second line. And so you look back at your order of operations. Do we have parentheses and brackets in the second line? No. Do we have exponent square root in the second line? No. Do we have multiplication division? Yes, we do. In fact, that's all that's left. We have to follow left to right. So you begin by doing this step. So 9 divided by 1, and remember that on the left there is the dividend, which means it's under that sign. So you have 1 is the divisor. 1 into 9 is 9. So the answer to that one is 9. So that begins to build line 3. Now you want to bring down all of this stuff. It's worth it to keep doing this. You don't get lost. Okay, you follow the rules, you look left to right, We have multiplication division, so we do it left to right. We do this one first. Bring down our answer. 9 times 4 is 36. And we've now created a fourth line. We've begun. So let's bring down the rest of the problem. All this stuff, bring it down. And you apply the same order of operations to line 4, and you do the multiplication and then the division, because multiplication you're going left to right. So 36 times 2, so you go over here in your little work it out sheet. So 36 times 2 is 72. That begins the fifth line. And you bring down the rest of the problem, and I know it's obvious at this point, but I'm going to go through the steps. And that's divided by 6. 72 divided by 6, and so your answer is 12. Yay! For problem 17, the answer is 12. You always start with your line 1. Alright, we work each line left to right. And we look at our order of operations, and parentheses is first. This problem does have parentheses, so we have to work that out. 6 answer. Now, and what I do this methodically, meaning by a method, and I bring down the rest of the problem. I do not solve anything further. I start to build a second line across. So all I do is copy down, bank the rest of the problem, keeping track of all the operations, or all these signs all along the way. So now this is what you solved right here, but now you're looking at your line across and you apply the order of operations. Are there any parentheses? No, but there are exponents and square roots, just the square root. You're going to work out that one next. So we'll do this. And our square root of 36 is 6, because 6 times 6 equals 36. Remember that underneath the square root sign, it's asking you what number times itself will equal 36. And that is the number 6. So we're going to bring down the other parts of this problem. Okay, and build our third horizontal line across this way. 8 times 9. Okay, so we still apply our order of operations. Now we have no parentheses, we have no exponents or square roots. We have multiplication and division, but we move left to right. So we begin here. And we solve that. 8 times 9 is 72. That begins our fourth line. I'm going to have to squish it up here. And then, of course, we bring down the rest of the problem. 6. So work left to right. Order of operations. So multiplication division comes first. So we do this first. So we have the answer of 12 here. And that begins our fifth line here. Fifth line across. Now we bring down the rest of the problem here. Once again, you do order of operations. Multiplication division comes before adding and subtracting. So you have to skip all the way, skip over the subtraction, and you're working on this division here. So that's line 6 when we get that started. 4 divided by 2, so our answer to that one is 2. Let's bring down the rest of the problem. It's starting to get easier and more obvious, but don't forget your parts. 12, this is building line number 6, minus 2 plus 6. Okay, so line number 7 is squished in here, but the idea is now you have adding and subtracting left. Well, what do you do first? You work left to right. So you do 12 minus 2 first. 12 minus 2 is 10. So the answer will be 10. All you have left is 10 plus 6, which will equal 16. 15.